My name is Caroline Munyi, and I work for AkiDwA, the Migrant Women's Network, and where we deal with issues which are affecting migrant women. That is health. We also do a lot of work, and especially in the area of global citizenship, where we have our sessions with the communities around the sustainable development goals, and that work is going very, very well. But yeah, so I'll go straight to this presentation this morning because I know we do not have a lot of time. And I'll start by talking about like a few issues which affect migrants in Ireland, and we are looking at a culturally competent lens on social justice issues which affect migrants in Ireland. And so I'll go straight and talk about the right to health because I feel most of the time that this is a right which is all encompassing. Sometimes we like thinking of health as the physical health, that it is very good or it is very bad, it is failing, whatever, whatever. But we also need to look at it like, where does this begin? And I'll go straight to the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. And that is Article 12, which states that parties to the present covenant recognize the rights of everyone to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. And let us underline that, physical and mental. And then the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, that is SDG 3, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all times or at all ages. And again, I've underlined the word all. So what's the current reality? It's a changing social demographic structure. Population is increasing, and then there's increased diversity. And so new needs which never used to be there before. And when I look at the work of AkiDwA, especially some of the needs we look at are issues like female genital mutilation, because I know like maternity hospitals, especially the Rotunda, the Coombe, and others, they have become my stomping ground of late because I have to go there. Maybe a woman has this issue and we have to go and discuss that because most of female genital mutilation. This is a new need which never used to be there before. People will argue that it is not grown here, but it has come from elsewhere. There was a day somebody asked me, why are we helping these women if they are bringing these issues with them? It's because Ireland is their home. And when it's their home, the right to health, it must be protected because that is a right. So when we look at the social determinants of health, actually, what determines, it's not even like sometimes some of the things we may think, it's some of the things maybe sometimes we don't think. They determine our physical health, our mental health. If you look at that, you see there's food and nutrition. We go to neighborhood, the physical environment, that's a social determinant of health. Community and social context, how are people being accepted, being treated, neighborhood, everything. Social support and networks, let's think about that. Culture, gender, access to healthcare. You can see actually now mention healthcare and just a small chink of that. Financial stability, others are education, employment, all that, because there are so many, there are several. And those determine our health, and we are calling them the social determinants of health. So there we are talking about the medical and social models of health. Let's look at one side about the medical model, which is looking at the physical symptoms, hospitalization, test results, rehabilitation, medication. But when you look at the social model, what is it saying? It's talking about the environment, socioeconomic status, trust, mental health, attitudes, culture, social integration. And I want to say that from our experience here in AkiDwA, if the social model was tightened, there is a way it will lessen the need for us to go to that extent of going to the hospital to see now to seek specialized medical care. Remember what you said about the social determinants of health. Now, let's go back again to slide 4, Maximiliana. Slide 4, please. So now, slide 4, you'll see now, when you look at the social issues which affect migrants, most of them, a good number of them are living in the GPs right now. Let's think about how that affects somebody's mental health and then physical health. Others do, and as a result of that, when you look at the community they are already very, very much isolated. Do they have social support networks? Let's think about that. And what about culture, gender? How do they access healthcare? How financially stable are they? They live on that 8 euros every week. What's their food and nutrition? We have seen many of these people demonstrating on TVs. We have seen those demonstrations and we've read about them or heard about them on radio and elsewhere because that is their reality of their lives. But remember what you're saying, the social determinants of health. And then when we think, like when we go now to the medical and social models again, which people are more likely to find themselves in hospitals seeking medical support? And how are they received there? They might be having language barriers and other issues. And maybe you can also imagine, because they don't have money, the waiting lists. There's something I always say, whenever you hear of a social issue presenting in the general population, let's say people are saying these days in Ireland it's very safe to get a mortgage, you need to ask yourself, for who is it easy to get a mortgage? And when you hear, let's say, a social problem like the waiting list is so long, think about what, then ask yourself, what about a migrant person? When you hear even the current housing crisis, what's happening to the migrants? That's another issue. That's something you need to ask. Because I know sometimes we have this tendency of saying even the Irish are going through this, they are going through that, but it is not the same. It is very, very different. Because even when we think sometimes things at their best, some sectors of the population, they are the last to reap those benefits. And it's because of so many reasons. And again, we think about what you're saying about the social determinants of health. And it's not just the physical health, but the mental health. And even though all those social determinants lead people to seek specialized health care, and even when they go there, they are still most of the time at the bottom of the heap. So you can see what James Baldwin said. We can disagree and still love each other, unless your disagreement is rooted in my oppression and denial of my humanity and right to exist. I think maybe that is where we should have started, because I think that should have been a sort of a starter to start our heads to this discussion. Because what I would like us to get more from this is to go thinking and thinking and thinking so that we can be able to act and maybe to spur more discussions around these issues. So, but when you look at most of the issues affecting migrants, the social issues, they spur from a single story, and that is dangerous. But as we go, there is need for research so that you can do more research and involve the people through approaches such as partnership approaches, and they use several methods, so that people can be able, affected groups can be able to feed into the research and to talk more freely about matters which affect them. And we need to consult, because again, nothing about me without me should be our motto. So the more I think about the single story, the more I think about the social determinants of health. And I'm looking at food and nutrition. Maybe someone is saying, let's just give them food because they are coming from a place without food. And that is where we will never stop seeing people who are living in the DPs demonstrating. Let's just give them a house. They have very poor houses where they are coming from in Africa and elsewhere. Community and support, no, they can live whatever they want. We can isolate them so we can gain a semblance maybe of whatever we want them to gain. No social support. Culture, we don't care. Gender, women, children, men, no. It has access to healthcare, we don't care. So let's think about that. And even what Chimamanda has said about power. It's not just the ability to tell a person's story, but to make it the definitive story. Let's think about that again. So that even as we engage in global education, we know like what are we trying to achieve? Is it bottom up? What are we doing for people? How much does it involve them? Nothing for me without me. Nothing about me without me. Let us make it about that. Rather, we are going to involve the people more. And even again, the story, again, when we look at what's affecting migrants, about the stories which are dispossessing, maligning, but we can create a story which is going to repair the broken dignity of our people through development education when it is well thought out and consulted so that people can be part of the story, and the need to balance the narrative. Because as Amanda Gossi has said, sometimes it's not that stereotypes are wrong, but they are not complete. Yeah, maybe this is what you think, but listen to the whole story. And even when she said something else, and now I'm going to stop, that if the story started maybe with when maybe the British went to Africa and did whatever they did there, but it starts with we thought these people like this or like that. And that's not just it, because now it justifies the whole invasion and colonization of Africa. And it also may be when you look at other things which have happened elsewhere because of slave trade, it also justifies most of the atrocities which have happened to our whole race and to our people. And so, because of all those things which I say, sometimes a bad thing can be said about the people so much until they believe it and they become a part of it. And then they end up getting something called acquired helplessness. Acquired helplessness. People end up believing that they cannot do anything but that story which defines them. And that is a very, very dangerous place. And as you say, you don't have to feel very bad because nobody is safe from the dangers of a single story. You heard the Amanda Gossi saying that she went to Mexico and she also heard the story because she was not listening to both sides of the debate. And so we need just to balance the story, to read more, to reflect more, and then we see how it goes from there, and to think of a people in a positive way. Like she said, Otish was told that their houseboys family, they were hardworking, they were gifted, but the power was not in that person's favor. They were poor. That was the definitive story. And so let's continue thinking more and reflecting more whenever we hear a story, maybe to continue reflecting more so that we can rob some of these narratives the power which they have over denying a people their dignity. So thank you very much.